Today, we're going to undertake a series of discussions with Ross McCarthy, a senior behaviourist. He's going to discuss with us some of the cases and some of the behavioural issues that we, as practitioners, deal with in the Canine and Feline Behaviour Association. Ross, I've had many cases of dogs showing aggression to children, especially when a child's brought into the house or a new baby arrives or the dog has never experienced exposure to children or infants. What's your experience?
I do a lot of work with social services family placement teams, particularly in regard to adoption and fostering of children and making sure that the dog is safe for children to go into that environment. And obviously in the course of my daily work, quite often I see dogs that are specifically aggressive to children, whether that's children coming into, visiting children coming into the property or children in the street. And of course, if you don't condition your dog at the appropriate age, or the dog is not familiar with the bizarre animated behaviour of children, then if they encounter that later on in life, then that can be somewhat problematic, simply because dogs are not used to the way that they move. So children move very differently to the way the normal adult moves, and that can often trigger a dog's aggression.
Ross, can you give me a particular example of a case that you've dealt with?
I recently saw some clients with a little Lhasa Apso, and they'd had the dog for probably about 3 months. It was a rescue dog, and they'd noticed that in the street the dog would run up to children barking. It wasn't going up to bite, it would just run up, bark and circle them. And the lady was pregnant, so she was concerned that the dog's attitude to dogs in the street would obviously come into the home, and when they tried to bring a new baby in, that would be problematic. So I went out with them, and with the usual safety caveats, we conducted some tests just to see really what the dog's motivation was. And as is typical in these cases, the dog was just fearful of the unknown, really, the strange way that children were running around and suddenly changed direction, and the vocalisations that they often make. So really it was a case of gradually desensitising that dog to the unusual behaviour of children, really, and also almost counter-conditioning with the use of rewards from sensible children within public places, and also utilising friends to come and visit, and making sure, of course, that everything's completely safe, and that they started to gradually improve the dog's attitude to young children. And of course, as a part of that, I gave them some advice on bringing their own baby into the house, because although I didn't anticipate a problem when they first brought the baby home, obviously the crawling stages and the toddling stages that children go through, that can be when dogs can react aggressively simply because of this seemingly strange and unknown behaviour. And regarding the new baby, I think we had about 8 months to work with the dog in the home to start altering the routines, really, because what often people do is they don't think too much about the likely lifestyle changes for the dog when the baby arrives. So I encourage people to talk to each other, really, and think about how their lifestyle is going to change, what impact the baby's going to have on them, and how that affects what they're currently doing with the dog. And then if they can make all of those changes beforehand, so that when the baby arrives, it's a very smooth transition. There really are no lifestyle changes with the dog at that point.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.